Hello everybody and welcome to another video where today I want to talk about indies and why the Steam Deck has become my favourite place to play them. You may have already seen the video I made about the Steam Deck and why I think it's perfect for busy gamers like myself. That video did incredibly well. So many people watched it and gave me such lovely feedback, and it's definitely one of my proudest achievements. So, because I have no shame, I'm going to try and capitalise on that success and make another Steam Deck video. I joke. I want to assure you that this isn't a soulless video. This is me talking from the heart about why the Steam Deck continues to completely change the way I play, and why indie games especially just feel right at home on this thing. Before I get into the main focus of this video, I want to quickly explain why indies are so important to me. Every day I grow more and more tired of the big blockbusters and find myself leaning more and more towards indie games. Due to my lifestyle, I much prefer the smaller, fun and creative experiences, and indies tick all of those boxes. When another press conference rolls around or it's time to watch the Game Awards, admittedly I do still feel the childlike wonder at the beginning where I yearn for jaw-dropping, goosebump-inducing moments, but for the most part I'm left feeling empty or disappointed. Except for this year's Game Awards. That one was actually pretty good. Everything either looks the same, or there's another remaster announcement of a game that came out 5 years ago, or there just isn't any innovation. Currently, it feels like there's a constant stream of developers jumping on the bandwagon of whatever is successful at the time, which isn't unique to the gaming industry, the comic book movie craze being a big example. Same with the music industry. Remember quite a few years ago when everyone started singing in Spanish after the popularity of Despacito? Video games are no exception. When a genre becomes popular, developers will jump on it and you start seeing many attempts of creating the same thing. This is because they make money, and once AAA companies catch a whiff of cash, they'll pump out games of that genre just to make a quick buck. And that's what I'm growing really tired of. Indies, however, are on the opposite end of the spectrum in my opinion. The developers have a vision. They want to create a piece of art that isn't marred by the popular trends of the time, and they're not just seeking profit. They remind me of why I enjoyed playing games so much as a kid. They still hold that indescribable magic you feel when you play through a game made with love. So naturally, I've been gravitating more towards indie games than anything else, and I'm getting everything I want out of them. They're typically short, favor fantasy over realism, cheaper, and most importantly, they're fun. This sentiment I've been feeling, this bitterness towards the blockbusters and a strong attraction towards indies, has been both maintained and strengthened by the Steam Deck. And let me tell you why. I want to properly start off this video by quickly talking about the deck as a piece of hardware. Oh, and to be clear, I own the OLED model, but for the most part, everything I'm about to say applies to the LCD model too. Obviously, this thing is portable, which is most likely its main selling point to a lot of people. Portable gaming, of course, isn't a new thing. It's been around for decades, so the Steam Deck is no pioneer here. But what is different is the emerging popularity of portable PC gaming. We've had laptops, sure, but it's only in recent years where we've seen the rise of dedicated PC gaming hardware. The Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and Legion Go all competing for portable PC dominance. Portability is such an important feature because it brings with it freedom to choose where you play. You're no longer limited to your living room, your bedroom, or wherever your setup may be. You can bring your deck with you on your commute, on your travels, or just to another room in your house if your entertainment center is already occupied. The deck is also incredibly lightweight, comfortable to hold, has an amazing battery life, particularly on the OLED model, and the OLED screen makes your games look better than ever. So why does this make indie gaming so good? Because simply, now I'm able to enjoy a large library of them on the go with them running beautifully without limitation. While this has been possible before on other devices such as the Switch, the deck does it so much better. Indie games just feel good on this thing. I guess I can say the same for all types of games, but with indies typically being less demanding from a performance point of view, they run absolutely flawlessly and the fans never become too loud and overwhelming. Being able to settle in for a gaming session playing the likes of Haiku the Robot with it looking and running this good is simply incredible, and I can no longer imagine me playing indies on anything else. Having the option to play my indies on the go is a massive game changer. This is definitely a personal preference, but I much prefer settling down with an indie game on a small portable device rather than a big TV. The TV is for the Hollywood blockbusters, the deck is for the lesser known pieces of art, where I can get close and be in the moment with it. It's really hard to describe why I much prefer playing them on a handheld. I think it might be because it reminds me of those cozy evenings as a kid playing my Game Boy, and a lot of my favourite indies tend to recapture the pixelated graphics I grew up with. I think there's also a psychological aspect too. The deck is fundamentally a Linux PC, but it's completely disguised itself as a dedicated handheld gaming device. I will only be using the deck to play games, whereas on a PC, I'm not as locked in due to its many uses and distractions. So from a hardware perspective, I strongly believe the Steam Deck is the best place to play indies, and you will not be disappointed. You might be thinking that what I've already described is possible on other devices such as the Switch, and in many ways you'd be correct. But I now want to talk about Steam itself and why I think it's a better platform for indies than its competition. I don't think I need to give Steam much of an introduction. Everybody knows what it is, but if you are somehow unaware, Steam is a huge PC gaming platform where you can buy, play, and even discuss games with fellow fans. It's pretty much an essential for PC gamers. It's such a wonderful platform that I browse very frequently when looking out for my next game, and everything is competitively priced. More so than the PlayStation or Nintendo stores. Regarding the Steam Deck specifically, it runs SteamOS that integrates the storefront effortlessly, and it's so easy to navigate. But I particularly love Steam for discovering new indie titles. 3 times a year, Steam puts on Next Fest, a celebration of upcoming games that puts the spotlight on titles you've probably never heard of, and allows you to try out the demos. This includes indie games, and there's always a lot of them. I love it when Next Fest rolls around because it's an opportunity to discover some really interesting games that would otherwise fly right under the radar. I recently put out a video covering October's Next Fest where I picked out 5 games that really struck a chord with me, so give it a watch if you're interested. It's through Next Fest that I discovered Crow Country, a game that has become one of my favorites this year. My wish list always becomes massive by the time I'm done with Next Fest, and I can't wait for the next one. In addition to this, the Steam sales that frequently happen are absolutely insane. I've seen games on there that are so cheap that it honestly feels wrong buying them. When it's time for a new sale, I always head straight to the Steam Deck subreddit because lists of the best deals are usually provided, which allows me to scroll through them, picking out indies that I may have forgotten about or really want to play. It's definitely one of the cheapest marketplaces and is much more competitive than other storefronts. I also recommend keeping an eye on Humble Bundles. I picked up the Metroidvania bundle for an outrageous price and it introduced me to some new games I'd never known existed. It's actually so mad how cheap and easy it is to pick up some of these games, to the point where it's become a bit of a problem. I have so many games now that I sometimes don't know where to start. It's like when you scroll through Netflix, there's so much content to the point of it becoming overwhelming, and you can never decide on what to watch. There are of course other platforms such as the Switch that does a good job at showcasing indies. Nintendo's Indie World showcases are always a pleasure to watch, and it's amazing to see a big company provide a spotlight to these types of games. But while I do love my Switch, I can't help but feel I'd rather play these games on the deck instead because of how much better they'll run and play, and I find the deck so much more comfortable to hold. I'll also have the option of playing them on the PC if I want to as well. I get it, the deck is more expensive, but you can pick up a refurbished LCD model for just £250 when it's available, which is such a bargain when you break down what each system offers. In my honest opinion, Steam is the best PC platform, and I think it does a wonderful job at introducing and offering indie games on a massive scale. At the end of the day, as I'm laying in bed, I enjoy browsing the store on my deck because I love to see what's out there. Seeing something interesting and watching the trailers fills me with excitement. It feels like more is possible on this thing. I can get so much more for my money, and to top it off, I can play them wherever I want, and I know they'll run excellently. But there is another platform available on the deck that you could describe as indie paradise. Remember, the Steam Deck is a PC, so you aren't just limited to Valve's offerings. Itch.io is a platform that's made for independent developers, where they can upload their indie games without a lot of barriers that may exist on other platforms. What's amazing about Itch.io is that the developers can set the percentage revenue split, whereas other platforms are typically set to 30% to the platform, 70% to the developer. If the developer really wants to, they can get back 100% of the sale. Anyway, Itch.io has a huge library of indie games, and you're bound to find something you'll enjoy. I'm actually quite new to the platform, so I'm definitely a beginner, but I've been really impressed with what I've seen so far, and it's a platform I'll definitely be checking out more and more. The store itself is very user-friendly, with it having many search options so you can head straight to your favourite genres and have a browse. There's also a community section where you can chat with other indie fans and discover new titles. What I really love about Itch.io is that it's filled with games made by people who may be at the beginning of their development careers, where they're testing the waters with their unique projects. It somehow feels more homely and cozy than any other platform, and it of course feels amazing to support someone with their passion projects. But you might be thinking that with it being a separate platform to Steam, that you'll have to always navigate to desktop mode and boot up your games that way. Fortunately, you're able to add non-Steam games to your Steam library so you can quickly boot them up without having to faff around in desktop mode. I seriously love this thing. thing. It honestly feels like the possibilities are endless sometimes. But I must inform you that not every game has Linux support, so make sure you check that out before buying a game. You can probably get around it by using Proton, but that seems way too complicated for my small brain, and I'm sure there's plenty of tutorials on that available online. You may have to configure the controls too, but I haven't found any issues with that yet because of the deck's wonderful controller support. So yeah, if you want to gain access to another huge library of indie games in addition to Steam, well, now you can. So I think I've made it clear on why indie games feel right at home on the Steam Deck. I feel spoiled with the deck. Being able to quickly pick up this thing and boot up an indie is a feeling that I find really hard to describe. It just feels right, and it also feels like it shouldn't be possible. It almost feels wrong to have this much freedom because I'm so used to being locked in a restrictive ecosystem on other platforms. For most of my life, I've been restricted in how I play my games. I've either had to play them on a console in a certain room, I've had to pay more than I perhaps should have, I've been limited to just one storefront, and I've had to make sacrifices on quality in exchange for luxuries such as portability. But with the deck, all those issues have been removed. The possibilities really feel endless, and I still feel like I'm dreaming sometimes. So as the title says, indie games do feel right at home on the Steam Deck. It almost feels made for indies, and if you're an indie lover like me, then you're going to have an amazing time with this thing. The amount of indies available is unimaginable, and their performance is always top tier, and I'm so happy I own this wonderful piece of hardware. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd love to know what you think, so please drop a comment below and we can have a chat. Please also consider hitting the like button and subscribing for more content like this. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.